Welcome to the Crescendo with Ian Ira Rousso. My name is Ian Ira Rousso. I'm going to ask for a favor. If you like what you see and hear, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. If you disagree with something, let me know in the comments. I don't know, we're civil people. Anywho, this is my talk with my old friend Michael Regilio, episode 15. Let's do this. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's
What's going on in LA comedy? I feel like I'm out of the loop. If anyone would know, it would be you.
There are mics on sidewalks, in backyards, and in park amphitheaters. I help produce a show in a park amphitheater, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure to send me an invite. I want to jump in.
Absolutely. Are you back in LA?
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Have you been? I saw you were doing a little bit. It was comedy in New York and Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not a lot of it. Yeah.
Well, I was actually in New York. I was starting to. There was a lot. I mean, this was early in the fall, but there was a shitload of open mics in the parks and shows on rooftops, and it was fun. I had a blast. I know that's your hometown.
Yeah. It's and that totally different now because of COVID. Like not even just comedy, but New York as a whole. I was talking to a New York comic, Emily Winter, on the last podcast, and like somebody posted a giant list of everything that closed throughout the pandemic, and it's depressing. Like as someone who grew up there, but yep, New York is a resilient place. They'll bounce back.
Yeah,
So
it's
is
actually
LA.
I've been there a bunch of times, but I was having a lot of fun when I was there in the fall because it's kind of like Mardi Gras everywhere. The restaurants are all out on the streets. The streets are shut down. People are just sitting at tables. It's just sidewalk cafes everywhere. Look, I know COVID's been terrible, but there's
Yeah.
some good things that came from it, and that was one of them. It was a fun atmosphere. I had a blast.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just like I've seen like a little bit of videos because I know there was a little bit of a controversy with people gathering outside of bars to drink.
Yeah.
Which on paper that sounds very fun, but it would probably make me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I'll tell you one second, actually, Ian. Yeah, you want to talk about uncomfortable though? My show in Texas was the most uncomfortable I've ever been. So I was heading back to LA, and somebody reached out to me in Austin, was like, "Hey, we want to throw you on the show." I said, "Great. What are you doing for COVID?" And they said, because it was an indoor show. I was like, I can't. And they're like, no. We're taking temperatures at the door. Everyone has to wear a mask, and it's going to be totally social distance. The room's going to be like a quarter full. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of comedy. I like doing it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I drove, it's 9 hours out of the way, more or less, to get to Austin from I was driving from Philadelphia. And I got to the venue, packed to the rafters. Normal times. Yeah. That's amazing. I would have been psyched. No masks, no one taking temperature at the door, no social distancing of any kind. So I just said, hey, I'm walking, man. I'm not doing this. And I had a conversation with them, and it worked out that I was just going to sit outside of the club. As soon as it was time for my slot, I'd walk to the stage with a mask on, take off my mask, do my time, put my mask off, and put my mask back on and leave, which I did. The crowd was dying for comedy. They were hot. It was a fun time, but man, I literally drove from Austin back to LA with the intent of I'm driving back to LA. My goal is to beat the symptoms of COVID, which I definitely have now. I just have to get back to LA before I'm shaking in a bed somewhere in a motel somewhere in New Mexico. And somehow or other, I did not get COVID by doing comedy in a packed room in Texas.
Yeah, and I know you well enough. Like, I know whether or not comedians should be out there running jokes was a very divisive issue at the beginning, and I think there's going to be some lingering effects on people's friendships because of it. But I know you well enough that you love comedy more than anything. I know nobody who knows like joke structure and word economy like you. Like that's,
yeah. So it's been fun.
Yeah, but like, going back to people not getting sick. Like I was doing like apartment mics for a brief period from like the beginning of May till about the end of July. And yeah, I managed to avoid it. Jamar Neighbors was talking about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was doing apartment mics, and yeah, nobody was getting sick.
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
invited to a few apartment mics back at the start of this thing, and I said, no dice. I
Yeah.
mean, I really, at this point, it's like, dude, how crappy would it be to get COVID as we're actually rounding the bend that now, and it's
Yeah.
an end to be the last guy. It's like being the last guy shot in a war and killed. It's like, dude, I don't want that. I don't want that.
I never even thought of it. Like I never thought of that analogy because we are so close to being able to get the vaccine and hopefully our lives return to somewhat normal. I have my anxieties, but
yeah, I don't think we're going to go all the way back anytime soon. I think you can't have a massive effect or a massive event like this not affect the culture on the whole. I think we're not going back completely to normal, but we'll go back to some version of normal. But yeah, this has changed us as a nation for sure.
Yeah. I was just watching a music video on YouTube for one of the new Weezer songs, and in the description it has nearest show, and they have like Dodger Stadium planned for July for the Hella Mega Tour. That was the thing with Green Day and
July.
Yeah, which I could see it happening, but I can't like Dodger Stadium. Like I can't see like people filling that place up.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they'll do like a socially distanced thing. Every third seat, it's outdoors. I don't know. Yeah.
Because like who else? Like something that gave me a little bit of optimism though, like Devil's Advocate, like New York Times, they posted a side-by-side photo. This is Wuhan in February of 2020, and it's just like an empty boulevard, not a car in sight. This is Wuhan now. And it was like a punk band, a band out of Beijing actually called Brain Failure. But it was like them playing to like a packed DIY venue. And like my first thought was, wow, in America's about to get punk as
And we know you love that.
Yeah.
You fan of the punk rocks?
Oh yeah. I was listening to a little Rancid while setting up. That was nice.
I bet. Tim Armstrong.
Oh yeah.
He lives in Silver Lake.
Yeah, I know. I knew that. I think Patty Reagan, I think, recorded something that was like produced by him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. I've met him a couple of times. Cool fellow.
Yeah. I would imagine someone like him, because he has like such roots in like the DIY punk scene. Like Op Ivy, like they were playing like basements and small venues, and like that was essentially, he knows where he came from.
Yeah.
It's like, what have you been listening to throughout the pandemic?
I like Mini Mansions. You know them?
I do not. I definitely will check them out.
I was a fan of the Beatles, the Zombies, the psych rock, the '60s, Elliott Smith style stuff. They are super in that vein. They're I think from San Diego, but yeah, they are very psych rock, very songwritery, a lot of harmony. Okay. Beach Boys, they're super cool.
I could get down with that. The way you described it, you were the one who told me about Jellyfish. I don't know how comparable the two are.
Pretty comparable.
Okay.
Yeah. You still listening to That Dog? I remember you were on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, it's been a reoccurring theme on this show. If somebody brings up Pinkerton, I'll ask them if they've ever, do they know the B-side, I Just Threw Out the Love of My Dreams, and I'll pitch to them That Dog Retrieved from the Sun, and I will really, not oversell it, because it's not a record you could really oversell, because it's just that good. But I'm 2 for 2 and getting my guests into That Dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember you were doing a bit about going to a what was it? Crazy Town?
Yes. Yeah. That was a fun experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Crazy Town. Me and a few friends, we decided to go just like just to be ironic. Like I got like it was a free show at a tiny bar, and it turns out they were really tight live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like tight. I like people that are talented and have
Yeah.
something to say, probably more than tight. But tight works.
Yeah. It's good to know how to play your instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a time. Now, who cares, man? Kids don't like rock music anymore, do they? At least not American kids.
I uh I have a theory that it's more expensive to start a band now than when I was a kid. And
Absolutely, man.
yeah.
I mean, I
It,
don't want to disparage anybody, but having spent 20 years on the LA rock scene, there was a time when there was like a switch when it just became all the bands that were doing well were all trust funders. It's
yeah.
like, of course, in order to do it nowadays, if you don't have $20,000 worth of gear and a van, and it's just flipped. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to give it your full attention. You
Yeah,
can't
just
have a job.
a pedal board that has like God, 3 months 3 months of rent worth of pedals on it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's my jam. I
yeah,
love the pedals, vintage pedals.
yeah. I was yeah. I've always been just distortion pedal. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're punk rock.
Oh yeah. It's from listening to all that Lagwagon and NoFX. Those were like the two back in high school that had the biggest effect on me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Lagwagon. I think they had something to do with the Descendants, didn't they? I think somebody in the Descendants produced their record or something. Might have been Bill Stevenson.
Yes, that does make sense. I keep forgetting. Yeah, Bill Stevenson. Yeah, he operates the blasting room in Colorado Springs.
Oh, does he? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. His resume of bands that he's produced is like a mile long.
Yeah. And the resume of bands he's been in. I mean, talk about seminal player. I was in Black Flag, Descendants, all.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Descendants and all. I keep forgetting he was in Black Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Flag is one of those bands that I like. I only know a handful of songs, but yeah, like I like. Yeah, I do like what I've heard.
Yeah.
I once met Keith Morris outside of a venue in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
He's the
character.
coolest.
Yeah,
I love Keith. Keith's a friend of mine. Dude,
yeah,
he's a legend. He's a legend in the truest sense, in that he's 60 years old. He's still getting in a van and driving all over the country. Obviously, not right now.
yeah.
I mean, he still walks the walk. Super cool.
Yeah, and I would imagine if you're in a band that long, if your presence in the in whatever music scene it is, whatever genre, like, and you don't have like actual documentarians following you, like just it just turns into this thing where just like all these like rumors and all these things, like it builds up almost. You become like a myth of yourself.
Yeah. I look forward to that day when that happens to
Yeah,
me. I want to
yeah,
become.
both of us in the comedy scene. Yeah, Ian Ira Rousso and Michael Regilio. Just I remember back in the day, or all the Hollywood hotel stories and. God,
Do you
the
know the
place.
first time we met? I remember it actually.
Shoot,
Silver Lake Lounge.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saturday afternoon, 5:30, everyone hanging out.
yeah,
Feels like
that's
a billion years ago now.
it. Really does. And God, that's one of the places that before the pandemic, it was one of like the last bars that was doing mics before I moved to LA. Like when I would visit from New York, like I would go there to like it was like like every Sunday right before I would go back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I don't know. God, this do you remember Andy Sell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to host that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my first things I ever did, and it was so good for me, was my first year in comedy. I used to hang out at El Cid. You ever hang out there?
Once during the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I know.
they were doing mics on their patio for a little bit and they got shut down like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they used to have both comedy shows and an open mic. And my first year, I would hang out there, and the booker was like, "Why don't you host a show?" And so
Yeah.
I would just, I didn't do much more than bring out the comics every night, but I got to meet comics. I got to see them work. I got to see the way they worked the crowds. And it was just, it was my education. It was so awesome.
Yeah. I saw the inside. It looks like a beautiful venue.
It is. It was the
Yeah.
old. It's God, I can't remember what the name of the studio was, but that is the old soundstage where they used to make Little Rascals, our gang.
No
It's one of
kidding.
the oldest clubs in the city, if not the world. I mean, it's just really old. It's been there since like the 1920s. It's beautiful, beautiful place, man.
Because it's funny because I used to pass it like all the time on Sunset, and it just you just see the front, and it looks like an abandoned structure that's just like falling apart, and then you walk down this set of stairs, and there's a nice bar. You go inside, beautiful theater.
Yeah, super cool. I've played
Yeah.
shows there. I've told jokes there. Love
Okay.
it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any venue that there was like a crossover between my days playing in bands and doing comedy.
Yeah, it's strange. Back in
Yeah.
the old days, those two things crossed over all the time. It seems like they don't so much anymore. But like when you read the history of rock, like in the 60s and 70s in particular, comics used to open for bands all the time because it
Oh
was so
yeah.
easy. Because you didn't have to bring any gear. They didn't need their own sound check. They just would walk on stage, warm up the crowd for half an hour, and then bring out the band. Seems like that happens less and less.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of my earliest influences as like from in comedy was a guy. Do you know Chris Gethard?
Mm-mm.
Okay, he had the Chris Gethard show on. It was a public access show. Ended up on Fusion and True TV. He now has a podcast that's very popular called Beautiful Anonymous. He like the first time I would see him, and this was long before I was doing comedy. I would see him open for bands like Plow United and Bomb the Music Industry. I think I might have seen him once open for like the Bouncing Souls. He was more present as a comedian on the punk scene than a lot of bands were.
Yeah, I remember playing shows, God, I don't even know how long ago now, but maybe 15 years ago. And this comedian would show up at shows and be like, hey, in between bands, can I jump on stage and do 5 minutes worth
Yeah.
of material? And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. That person's going for it in like a serious
Yeah.
way. I bet they're going to be successful. And I remember her name was Natasha Leggero. So
Okay, that name sounds very familiar.
you think you've heard that one maybe
Yeah.
once?
Yeah, once I drove out before the pandemic, like I went through a phase where it was like I didn't want to do any comedy in LA. Like I wanted to drive wherever I can, sort of in the region. That's when I was starting to do Ventura more, and that was the first time I'd start doing Riverside. And I drove out to something that was on Bad Slava, that it was out in Redlands, but it was open mic karaoke, which God forbid they just called it karaoke, so I wouldn't have driven that far. But the guy hosting it was like he offered to let me do like 5 minutes, and it was like I don't want to ruin these people's night. Just let me sing Buddy Holly, and I'll.
What? You should have done it.
I should have.
angry,
Yeah.
Rooster. You take that opportunity. You get up in front of that crowd. You do it. You know what
Yeah.
Jay Leno used to do? He used to show up at bars with $100 bill, and he would walk up to the bartender. He'd be like, "You let me do 20 minutes of comedy. If I entertain your patrons and they laugh and they have a good time, you give me the $100 back. $100 back. If they have a terrible time and I bomb, you keep the $100." And he would just show up at bars and do that.
Wow. That's because you got to have drive to entertain stranger, like really next level. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's the toughest room of all. People that didn't even go there to see comedy, It's a tough enough room already when you've got people that paid to see comedy, want to see comedy, they're in the room for comedy. You have a bunch of people just hanging out, and then suddenly a comedian's like, hey, I'm going to do a set. You better be good. But yeah, you also better be driven. I mean, you have to be driven to do stuff like that. I always look at stuff like that and I'm like, I want to be more like that. But then I don't do anything quite like that.
Yeah. Yeah, me. I'm just very. I find myself very nervous about the idea. Like I know there's a whole difference between producing a comedy show that's in like a back room, so everybody knows what they're getting into. But like in a bar or something, yeah, it's totally. I'm always. I gotta stop being afraid of like pissing like the wrong person off, like doing comedy. I don't know.
You got to get into pissing the wrong person off.
Oh, I think it was J.F. Harris who said that stand-up comedy is one of the only art forms that if you do it right, the audience will try to assault you.
Yeah. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I've made the mistake though on occasion. This I will say I don't think you can mix. You can maybe have a comedian open for a band, but I've had technical difficulties on stage while playing with bands and tried to do a couple of quick minutes like while they're fixing the drum kit or whatever, and that never goes well. People are like, "Shut up! Oh, now the guitar player is going to tell some jokes. Get out of here, you clown."
The trick is to make the banter sound organic. Like it's just like improv. It's just like riffing. It's just like doing comedy. Period. Like
Yeah.
if it sounds scripted, like the audience is just gonna be like, "Oh, this is a waste of time."
Yeah, you're right. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to try it again. Next time there's a technical difficulty and I'm on stage, I'm going to try it, except I'm going to make it seem unscripted. Just like
Yeah.
pretend I'm just writing these jokes on the spot.
Yeah.
What is you with old cars? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Lagwagon is very good at that. Frank Turner's very good at doing that. That Dog, they're very good at doing that.
Yeah.
There was a CD at their album release show for their most recent album. They and it was on stage like addressing everybody who was there, and at one point she said Christians in the audience, and I put two and two together, and she was like, "Nope, not that Christian," and I was like,
That's pretty funny.
yeah."
Are you finding it easier or harder to write and develop yourself as an artist during COVID with all this free time you have on your hands?
Excellent question. It's easier. I find I have more artistic freedom than I have ever had as whatever I want to develop into, because I don't have the worry of, like, it seems ridiculous in hindsight, but getting up in front of someone like Rita, like, there's pressure in that, and there shouldn't be. You should be having fun. And
I think it's impossible to get rid of the pressure, but I did,
Yeah.
getting back to that show in Texas I did, which is, I did a few open air outdoor shows in New York, but the Texas gig was the only time in the last year that I've actually been in a club doing comedy. And I have to say, man, that I was mad at the club. They lied to me about the social distancing and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I was also kind of mad at the crowd. Like, I'm like, put on a fucking mask. What are you people doing? So I was a little mad at the club, a little bit mad at the crowd, and it just made me walk on stage not giving a and
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. It was one of my best sets ever because they got that energy that this guy's not nervous. This guy's just
Oh, yeah.
doing his thing. And it was because I was pissed. I was like, the club, the crowd. Hey, here I am. I'm just going to do my jokes. And I crushed. It was kind of amazing. I'm like, I need to figure out how to not give a about every show and not give a about every audience.
Let me tell you something. There's a certain the one thing that I was learning leading up to the pandemic is that probably more than half of this craft is being comfortable on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And like that's how you have to disarm an audience with with comfort.
Yeah.
And when you don't give a shit, when you're comfortable with letting out what you feel without filter, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, well, we're social creatures, and that's a social cue you're sending to people. You're saying, I'm confident, which therefore I must have something important to say, or I must be good at this, or there's a reason that I'm so confident and cool. And the minute you take the stage and you go, hey, great crowd, it doesn't matter how well written that joke is. Everyone's like, screw this guy.
Yeah, you could sell the worst jokes, and if you really, really commit to it, yeah, the audience will, like, it doesn't matter what you say. To a point, it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah, we've all seen it. We've seen the uber confident, perfect delivery guy deliver jokes and get amazing laughs.
Yeah.
I also know a fellow who wrote a bunch of jokes for some late night shows, and he's a great joke writer. And to see him perform them, you're like, oh my God, how did you make a living doing this? He's just nervous. He can't do it. But when he writes them down, they're well written. They're crafted. Everything about him's great. He can sell them, but he can sell them to a late night show. He cannot sell them to a crowd live in person because he's just nervous and he doesn't have it.
Oh yeah, like that's because that's an issue I have, but the other way around, like I could sell jokes when I'm really into it, but like last episode I was pitching one plot point of like a pilot that me and my friend Jimmy Calloway, yeah, me and him were spent like the last like 6 months working on something, and I was like
Jimmy the
pitching like,
Worm.
oh, Jimmy the Worm.
I love Jimmy Calloway. Hey, listen to me.
Yeah,
You see Jimmy, you tell him that I said hello, okay?
will do. No, but like I was like pitching this like one plot point, like a subplot in this script that we've been working on, and I was just like I kept thinking back in my head, like, is this a stupid idea? And you can't think that. You have to shut that voice off and really sell what you're
Yeah.
delivering.
Well, conversely, we both know that you can, doing these Zoom mics, one thing that's kind of wonderful about them is
Yeah.
that like the pressure really is off and there's a lot of good that comes from it. And for me, one of the things is that I can write 10 ideas down that might be funny and just rattle them off real quick. And it's always so funny that sometimes it's the joke that you're like, all right, this is so dumb, but I'm just going to say it. And you
Yeah.
say it and everyone, and that's the one that gets the big laugh. And the one that you wrote down, you're like, oh, dude, this is so good. Crickets.
Oh yeah. I have issues with Zoom. This is gonna sound so stupid, but I get very. There's a part of me that feels very like I don't like sensitive. Is that the right word? Like I get overly sensitive when I don't. No, I don't. Sensitive isn't the right word, but I feel some sort of emotion when I don't get laughs. Like
Self-conscious, perhaps.
self-conscious. I think that I think that's a the better word. But like even in person, like if something doesn't land, like I feel very self-conscious when something doesn't hit the way I envisioned it. And with Zoom, I feel that way about my computer. Like I expect my computer to be reacting to me, not just the people. Like
Yeah.
this wall between us. Like I ha ha Ian, that was good.
So you have a 1980s computer?
Yeah. Yeah,
People always still
DOS.
do that as robot voice. I'm like, dude, robots haven't sounded like they. This is robot voice nowadays, by the way. I'm doing robot voice.
Oh yeah, they've
You got to
advanced.
get over that and quick, and you know it, and I know it. You got to soak in that silence. You got to marinate in that silence. When that joke doesn't hit you, you are Teflon. That has to come
Yeah.
right off you.
Yeah, just like just bounce back and just like
People
they're
forget that that joke didn't land when the next joke does land. It's not like it's you. You only notice that this person's not doing well when the joke doesn't land. They lose their confidence, and then the next joke doesn't land because now they're really losing their confidence. Then you're like, oh, this guy's having a tough night. But the guy
oh
that
yeah.
completely misses, and then the next one hits, and then the next one hits, and then another one misses, and you walk away, and all you think is, oh, it's a great set. It's a really funny guy. Nobody remembers the jokes that didn't land.
Oh yeah. No, nobody remembers like any of your material.
Of course.
It's ridiculous the amount of energy we put into making sure every word is perfect. Let's cut all this extra fat. But it's so the only people who really give a are like real comedy enthusiasts, like definitely within the community. They'll know why something is working, but otherwise, yeah, it doesn't matter. They don't.
Yeah.
Audiences don't get won't remember.
I also think the big mistake is identifying that that was even a joke. You
Yeah.
could just play it off as I was just, I'm just talking up here, man. I'm just having fun, and I just said that. And it wasn't it was an observation, wasn't a joke, and just keep rolling. It's when you go, well, I guess that didn't hit.
It was a joke, people.
Yeah.
Or what was it? Fraser Smith. Come on, people, they're jokes.
I don't know that one.
Fraser Smith. Oh, he used to host Friends and Family at the store not Friends and Family. He would host potluck after the Friends and Family portion.
Oh yeah.
He would be around. Yeah. No, but I also feel like something like the Comedy Store. I don't know if this is true, but something that helps with why you get past like if you're the kind of person who's simply comfortable enough telling jokes that don't land without, like, you don't start bombing because of it, and like
Yeah.
therefore audiences won't hate you. Is that make any? I don't know if I worded that correctly.
I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
have to say though that when I first started doing comedy, that word "past" was really difficult for me to get my head around. That sounds like a bad thing. People would be like, "I got passed at the comedy store."
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds like they pass.
Yeah.
Like that's how we use it in everyday vernacular. It's like, "Hey, I'm trying to
Yeah.
sell myself to you. Pass." It's
Yeah.
like it sounds bad. So I didn't
Nah.
understand what people were telling. Like I got passed at the comedy store. I was like, "Oh, sorry. Better luck next time." Like, who is this idiot?
Yeah. Were you you've done Tahoe a couple times?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, what was that like? Were the audience? Does that is there like a comparison between
dude.
your facial gestures there?
I've done it a couple of times, so
Okay.
I'm giving away the ending that it ended up going well. But holy guacamole! Okay, so I get booked on the Tahoe gig,
Yeah.
which anyone's listening, they might know that the Improv here in LA also books a number of other clubs. They have improvs all around the country. One of them being the Lake Tahoe one,
Yeah.
and they'll send comics from LA out to Tahoe for a week, which is just the greatest gig ever. They put you up in a beautiful hotel. You get your own suite. They comp all your meals. I mean, you feel like you have arrived. And I did my first time going to Tahoe. I got there that day. I checked into the hotel. I went up to my suite. The door opened. I was like, this is my room. You've got to be kidding me. This is amazing. It's a beautiful suite. It's got the office area. It's got a bathroom with a hot tub in it or whatever, with the jets in the tub. And it was just like, I was like, oh my God. And they give me the, my meal comps for the week. And and you see all the restaurants you can eat at. I'm like, dude, this is incredible. So that night I'm like, dude, I'm doing this right. So I go down to the club like an hour early. I introduce myself to the people taking tickets, to the people in the kitchen, to the bartender, to the waitress. I go introduce myself to the manager of the club. I just want to get along with everyone. I want them to remember me well. I meet the other comics. So then I'm hanging out backstage, and there's a curtain in front of the stage, so you can't see who's coming into the club, but I can hear that it's filling up. And I'm going up first. And waitress comes back. She goes, just so you guys know, it's a full house out there tonight. I'm like, oh man, I'm living my comedy dreams. Curtain goes up. First comic, and they have like an intro too, like, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the first comic of the evening, Mr. Michael Regilio. Curtain goes up. I go running out on stage. I'm like, second I get on stage, everyone I can see immediately, everyone's over 60. Everyone's got gray hair, and there are a number of visible MAGA hats on. And I'm looking like me. So I launch into my routine. First joke doesn't hit. Second joke doesn't hit. Third joke doesn't hit. I get into my fourth joke. I'm not proud of this, but it was a stupid joke, and it was a dirty joke, but the setup involved the word fleshlight. And I could see that no one of these 65-year-old conservative Christians knew what a fleshlight was. And in my head, I said, okay, Regilio, you got two choices here. You can either drop it and move on to the next joke, or you can explain to these people what a fleshlight is. I don't know why, but I went with option 2. They turned on me so hard. I looked down, my hand was shaking. They turned on me so hard. I lost my place. I'm stammering around. I look over at the clock. I'm supposed to do 15 minutes. I've been on stage 3 minutes. They hated me so bad. I don't know how I got through that set, but somehow I get 15 minutes. I walk off stage, and the manager, who was so nice to me before the show, literally is like, come here. He takes me backstage. He's like, these are not comedy fans. These are high rollers who come into this club. We give them free tickets and everything. It's like, they did not like you at all. This is not some LA street show, is what he said to me. I'm like, okay, I don't know that we even have LA street show. I don't know what a street show is, but okay, fine. Anyway, he's like, you need a whole new set for tomorrow night. I went back to my room that night, just about the lowest I've ever been in my entire life. I didn't sleep that night. I rewrote an entire new 15-minute set. And the guy on the feature was Ron Morey. Great guy, super cool guy. And he gave me the best advice before I went on second night. He said, problem wasn't your jokes. And it wasn't even that they were dirty. You don't say the F word to them. Say make love if you're referring to the act or something. You know, find another way to say it, but you can still tell the joke. They don't mind the content. It's the words. He goes, but they don't like you. Look at yourself. They don't like liberals. They don't like MSNBC, and they don't like dudes from LA. This is middle America Trump fans. It's like you have to disarm them right away. And so I did. I quickly wrote up a couple of self-deprecating jokes. I took to the stage. These are not great jokes, but it did the trick. I was like, hey, who is this long-haired weirdo, right? Am I right? They're like, yeah, you're long-haired weirdo. I go, hey, I can describe myself in 2 words. Parental disappointment. And everyone's like, yeah, if you were my son, I'd be super disappointed in you. And I went home that night, or I went back to my room that night with the recording of the show. I wrote down every joke. The ones that hit, I gave a check to. The ones that didn't, I gave -2. I switched those out. Next night, I drew a new set list. Even hit even harder. I just honed it in. I figured this crowd out. And the last night of my run there, the very same manager that gave me grief said to me after my set, we want you back. So
Yeah.
Turned it all the way around.
Let me tell you something. It's been like I was spending a lot of time in the beginning of all this with Nicole Davis, who she one of the bookers for that. Yeah. She said something to me that like resonated with me in terms of like what bombing truly is, because like I've always had the mentality, I was raised on this early on, that like bombing is something that happens internally, and no, that's not necessarily true. But the thing that she said that relating to all this is that it's professional comedians who are able to adjust throughout the weekend. Those are the ones that end up getting called back, the ones that end up continuing to work. And yeah, you just proved her right.
Yeah, you got to figure that
a hell of a story.
Figure out what they want, give it to them. That's what I also realized about myself on that trip, was that I thought I was a guy with a point of view. You know, I was like, I'm this guy, I have deep thoughts and I convey them through comedy. And nope, I'm just a dude who likes getting laughs. I walked away from all that. I was just like, what can I do to make these people laugh? I'm going to do it. I just like getting laughs. I like having good shows. I didn't, sell myself out and get up there and start extolling the virtues of Trump or anything like that. But I switched my whole set in order to just get a laugh. And you know what? Felt a lot better getting a laugh off of material that I wasn't crazy about than it feels about bombing your ass off with your favorite jokes.
Oh, yeah. It's God, there's no better feeling than getting, like, when something really, really hits. And I would imagine it's that much more rewarding when you really figure it out over the course of, what was it, like I thought I saw once, like 6 shows in a weekend? Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No, not a weekend. 6 shows in a week.
6 shows in a week.
5 nights, two shows on Saturday, I believe was what it was.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would imagine like just having that window and just being able to pull it off at the end. To have the manager basically, like, to have the manager giving you the thumbs up, like, to say that he wants you back, like that's a reward. Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I hope somebody listens to this and listens to that story and gets something out of it, because I sure as hell did.
Awesome.
Yeah, Yeah, I went up to Tahoe very recently for the first time, like back in June, and I passed the Hardee's Casino. That's where it is, right?
Harvey's.
Harvey's, yes.
The Hardee's Casino is would probably be some fast food restaurant with some slot machines in it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the other thing that was crazy about these casino gigs, and I love it. But you get out of the show, it's late. go back to your room, hang out, and then you head down to the casino at 1 in the morning and you sit there till 5 a.m. It's a crazy feeling living in a casino where you're like, it's 3 a.m. And if I wanted to get out of bed right now, I could be in a bar in
Yeah.
80 feet from this door. There's a bar where people are hanging out drinking. At any moment of any day, you can just go to a bar or go to a casino. It's pretty crazy.
It's an incredible business model. The fact that they're able to, there's no windows, there's no clocks on the wall, so you have no idea what time of day it is.
Yeah.
And the thing that I heard I don't like, I'm sure Tahoe does this as well as Vegas, but they pump oxygen into the casino to keep you a little bit more alert, more antsy to get you.
I have heard that. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
true. Harvey's actually, because when you're staying someplace, you become curious. So I Googled it. I was like, what's the deal with this casino? They had like a crazy bomb go off in like the 80s or something, or some guy put a bomb in there. There's like a crazy story about some gambler who owed like all this money to the casino. He like planted a bomb. He's like, if you guys don't, drop my debt, I'm detonating this thing. I can't remember the details, but Harvey's got quite a crazy history.
Oh yeah, when you lose everything like that, I would imagine. Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst thing about it, though. I mean, I have to say, like,
Yeah.
when you have to spend a lot of time in a casino like that, you see people and you're like, you can tell that they've just lost everything. You see the look on their face. Or you see somebody that looks like they don't have a lot and they're putting all their money into a slot machine or something. It's definitely a sickness. It's also really fun. Yeah. Gambling is, I understand that it's, although I sat at that poker table from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. probably 5 nights in a row when I was doing the run there.
Oh yeah, like I'm lucky with all my vices. Like I drank a lot in my 20s. It took forever for me to quit smoking. Gambling wasn't one of them. And I went to a friend's bachelor party at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, and like I came with $120 that I was willing to not walk away with.
Yeah.
And man, did I lose that money quick.
Yep.
Yeah. And we also had leftover money. There was we had dinner, like some of the nicest steaks that we've ever had in our lives. Like it was next level. And one person, we had all this leftover money from getting the room. And it was like, let's put the rest of the money on a roulette table. We'll put it down on black. And this is a little bit drunk at this point. Like throughout, it's almost like any casino. It almost has like a little bit of like a nice mall feel.
Yeah.
And almost on the speakers, the song "Times Like These" by the Foo Fighters came on, and it was something out of a movie. We're running, we're eager. It's times like these you learn to live again. And we get to the roulette table. And we put like something like almost $1,000 on black. 14 red. And just everything cut. And I was like, oh, well, they just got a little bit richer. Awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, as did a lot of people just the other day. Did you cash in your GameStop or GameStop stock?
I did not, and I'm still only learning a little bit more about what exactly happened.
Yeah, I barely understand it. I just know that there's a bunch of people out there that made a couple grand to millions the other day. It's like, I like that I kind of am withdrawn. I don't go on Reddit, or I don't, I'm not down any deep internet rabbit hole. And I like that about myself. But the other day I was like, oh man, I wish somebody had given me a heads up about that one. But yeah. Everybody got together and were able to manipulate the stock in such a way because the hedge funds were trying to short it and they were going to do the opposite. I'm not entirely sure of all the details, but it was a conspiracy to rig the stock market, and it worked. I heard about one kid, this is a famous case now, who I think mortgaged his parents' house and made millions.
God.
In hours. Millions in hours.
I got to get this app. What is it, Robinhood?
Yeah.
Because it's incredible that the upsetting part is like that's what a lot of hedge funds do. They do give information. They manipulate stock prices.
That's what everyone's saying. In fact, both AOC and Ted Cruz agreed on that. It's like, hey, these hedge funds, what they do is manipulate. So what? The little guys manipulated the stock market once. Maybe we should have a stock market that's not so easy to manipulate. But
Yeah, it's all, I forget what the word was. It's all they're just projections. It's not exactly based on like how much capital anybody's making. It's all like hearsay. Oh, I hear this company's going to earn this much.
yeah,
It was fucking GameStop, for a God's sake. Who thought, like, if you were a hedge fund manager who was completely illiterate to what GameStop is?
yeah. Well, it's
You're
not
just
about
bad
that.
at your
It's
job.
about supporting the stock. I don't know. Look, I'm not going to talk out of school here because I don't know. I don't even know what expression means. I'm so
AMC theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are obviously they're selling tickets.
Anyone know?
Huh?
I just used an expression I've never used before, and I don't know how to use it. Talk out of school. I'm not going to talk out of school here. How does
talk out of school? I wish I had a producer. Oh, Jamie, look this up now.
I'm typing it in now.
Yeah. Like I guess like not staying in your lane, whatever the opposite of that is.
Maybe it's not. To talk out of school means to say something that you have no right to say. Okay, so that wasn't. I had the right to say.
You had the right to say it, but
I had a right to say it. I just sounded like
you didn't commit to it. Like it wasn't. It wasn't like you were just like, oh, this particular like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. You were like, I don't know what I'm talking about, and you did it with like your tail between your legs a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I should have said I don't want to talk like I'm a guy who never went to school. Now there would have been an accurate expression.
God, such
unless you count music school as school. Really paid off swimmingly, though, I'll tell you. Financially, I'm a very successful rock star. It was all worth it, every penny.
Yeah. God, have you been writing music? Been
Always.
Always, okay.
In fact, I don't want to brag, but there's a very famous astrophysicist named Lawrence Krauss, who just wrote a book on the science of climate change. And on the book on tape, in between chapters, there's about 3 seconds of piano music in between each chapter.
that you composed.
The entire book on tape probably has 35 seconds worth of piano music on it. Right here. That's why I went to music school. Books on tape. People never think about that. What can I do with my music education? Have you thought about audiobooks? Books on tape. By the way, how old do I sound saying books on tape?
Well, there's definitely a difference between that and audiobooks.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know if those two are synonymous.
Those little piano riffs, that's me, baby.
Did you go to music school at Berklee, if I remember? Okay,
Berklee
right
College
on.
Music.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, and then you hit the rock scene. Like you were telling me some stories, like you saw, like I think it was like Radiohead play at a bar
That is true.
Yeah.
I was at a club in Boston, and it was a festival, and my friend, this was like the smallest club of the festival, but it was one ticket gets you into every club on the street. It's called Lansdowne Street, and it's all rock clubs, all up.
Okay, yeah, the Avalon is there, or was there?
Exactly, yeah. And one ticket gets you into any one of the clubs. So I go in. My friend is playing at the smallest place called Bill's Bar, and I go in, and there's 15 of us. We're all friends just to see our friend play. That's it. No crowd really shows up. My friend plays. They're cool. And they finish and they leave, and the place empties out. And it's just me sitting at the bar, but I'm sitting there because the next band that's setting up is setting up really cool gear. I'm a gearhead. I'm like, that's a fucking great amp. That's a really cool guitar. Oh, this guy's pedals are really cool. They're like, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, checking all. And I'm like, I say to the bartender, who are these guys? He's like, some British band. I think they have a record coming out next month. They're called Radiohead. I'm like, cool. I want to check these guys out. My friend taps me on the shoulder. The band is literally about to play. They're like, ready? My friend's like, hey, Beastie Boys are going on next door. I'm like, see ya. I almost had a private show of just Radiohead playing to just me. And I walked out to see the Beastie Boys. Not disparaging the Beastie Boys. Love the Beastie Boys. But I almost had a private show. Didn't get it.
That's one band I wish I got to see, or one group wish I got to see live. The Beastie Boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were.
they're one of those groups that I listen to remind myself that I'm a goddamned New Yorker.
Yeah,
It's like you just hear nodes of the New York I remember growing up in their music. Like if you're looking for something to remind you of 80s 90s New York, like that was yeah, like Hello Nasty, License to Ill. Yeah,
License to Ill, man. That's
yeah,
the soundtrack to my, I don't know, 11th year
yeah.
of life or something like that.
I think Hello Nasty was like the record that just came out when I was started becoming aware of pop music, or
Yeah,
aware of music, not even pop, but just in general, like just music culture.
yeah. It'll
Yeah,
get you.
yeah,
That music, you fall in love, you fall hard. But she's a cruel
yeah,
lover, cruel, cruel lover.
yeah.
But I'm still playing. I play with a fellow by the name of Dino Stamatopoulos. He's a comedy writer. He was the creator of Moral Oral. He
Yes.
played Starburns on Community. He used to write for Conan and Letterman. But we
Yep.
have a comedy band called Sorry About Everything.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's been going on for a couple years. I remember you were telling
yeah.
me. Yeah.
It's fun, man. It's cool. And if I can give my buddy a little plug, he's good. Dino writes funny, good, but they're good songs. Like as a musician, like it's weird when somebody writes a song where they want it to be simple and easy intentionally because they know that's what people like and it makes money. So some talented songwriter sits down, he goes, I'm going to make this song that's just G, C, D, G, C, D, and it's going to be simple and I'm going to make a lot of money because that's a simple song. That's what makes money. It never works for me.
Yeah.
Never sounds that good. But when a guy who doesn't know what a G or a C or a D is and just sits down and he finds these simple chords and he writes a song from the heart and he thinks it's the best thing ever because he doesn't understand that it's just the same three chords over and over again, very simple. Those ones always hit me hard. And that's like Dino, you know, I mean,
Okay.
he writes
Yeah.
good songs and it's the fact that he just, they're the best he can do. I don't mean it that way. I mean that it's just he doesn't understand that these are really simple songs, but because they're so from the heart, they move me. I like them.
Yeah. Do you watch Hot Ones at all?
Uh-uh.
Okay, it's a show where, God, I forget the host's name, but basically he sits down across from celebrities and they eat hot wings, and
Oh
each
yeah, I saw the
wing.
billboard on Sunset for a while there.
Okay, I strongly recommend it because a lot of like he's had Charlie Day, he's had Coolio, Weird Al, Guy Fieri, like all like, and
Mhm.
they're all great, great. He asks good questions, and one of the people he did one with was one of the Gallagher brothers from Oasis. I want to say it was
Liam or
Liam.
Noel?
It was I want to say it was Noel. What yeah, it's just God, if you mix the two up, it would probably piss either of them off because I hear they're
Yeah.
yeah. But he asked a good question, like how long does it take for you to get you have a song idea, and how long does it take for it to reach the final product? And his answer was sometimes it could take years. However, he feels that the songs that have had the biggest impact culturally have just fallen out of the sky. Like it was just like immediately that accessible.
Yeah, that's the way I like to look at it myself. You know, Michelangelo famously said that he believed the statue was already inside the marble and he was just freeing it, cutting it out, you know, but that it was there. I believe that like when I hear a song, I just try and I just imagine that this is a song that exists in the universe somewhere and my antenna has picked it up and it's not about me, it's about just finding where does this song go? What naturally happens to it? Like I want to discover the song more than write the song.
Right on. And I feel I think it was you who once said to me that you don't necessarily see joke writing as an art form, but storytelling is. Is that I don't know if that
I don't know if I
couple.
believe that anymore, you know. The thing about joke writing that always struck me as it's different than other art
Yeah.
forms, but I'm an evolving person. My thought
Yeah.
process is evolving, is that they don't have the staying power. A great painting from 500
Yeah.
years
Oh
ago,
yes. I think that's what you said. Like
yeah, and a
but
great song remains a great song. We love the Beatles, but when we
yeah.
listen to older comedy, it doesn't hit the same way. It's because it isn't in the now. You got to be there and understand all the cultural and the context clues that are going on in the joke to get it. But now I think that it's just a different kind of art form. I guess improv comedy is the same too. You have to be in the room experiencing it for it to work, but that doesn't make it any less of an art form. So
improv is strictly
amending
in
that
the
point
moment.
of view.
Yeah. But like even good songwriting, the best music has storytelling clarity to it. Like you could almost see a story in your head, a protagonist or an antagonist or some sort of love interest. Like, were you ever into a band called Fountains of Wayne?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like they're one, like rest in peace Adam Schlesinger. Like
Yeah.
I got into Fountains of Wayne heavily after he passed away. His music, like that's essentially what made it so great. Like all these songs are just incredible, at times humorous stories, but you see something in your head almost like a movie, like a soundtrack.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaks to
Like,
what amazing brains we have as human beings that we can have that experience.
yeah,
How nice it is to be a human being.
yeah. I think it was Mark Hoppus who once said the best part about being a human is listening to a song and how it could give you goosebumps.
Yeah. Human
Just
beings are the best of all beings.
Yeah.
We're the
Minus
best beings.
the environmental that's going on right now. It's yeah.
Hold on a second. Wait, I think we're almost at the hour mark. You're not going to spring climate change on me in the last minutes here, Rooster.
I was literally, the next words out of my mouth were literally about to be, this was an incredible conversation. Is there anything you would like to plug? But you know what? You fucking blew it.
I stepped on your line.
God. Next step, I think after this, I'm about to run and get a haircut, and then I'm speaking to Saul Trujillo.
Wow.
Yeah,
hey,
and so I have another opportunity today.
Well, for one, say hi to Saul for me.
Sure.
For two, if I could, don't cut too much. Looks good. You're looking good, buddy.
No, I haven't gotten a haircut in like 4 months. I'm keeping the beard, though. The beard, it started as sort of like I just got out of it. It wasn't really a relationship. It was like the gray area between, more than friends, but not quite boyfriend and girlfriend. That didn't work out, and it was like, you know what? I'm going to grow this out a little bit because I'm not dating. I have no... I don't know. And it looks good.
Looks good.
Yeah. So is there anything... This is an incredible conversation. Is there anything you would like to plug?
If anyone's curious, they can go to michaelregiliocomedy.com.
Right on. You got one of those?
Some stand-up sets. I've got some sketches. I debate a number of people on podcasts. I've got me debating Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman. I've got me debating a white supremacist. A bunch of podcast sketches and comedic tapings on that website.
Wow. Okay. And do you have Instagram, Twitter, and all that?
Yeah, I think. Twitter is Michael Regilio 1, and Instagram I think is just Michael Regilio. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So you're okay. Awesome. I don't know. You've seen the clips. I got the little bar on the bottom with I do a good job. One of the reasons I got into doing this podcast is so I can learn Adobe Premiere, and it's.
Oh, I thought it was so you could talk to cool people like me.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
I'm so glad I could spend an hour of my life while you practice Adobe Premiere on me.
Oh no, is that worse than talking to comics and running jokes in mid conversation?
No, you're learning something useful.
Yeah. No, but the first couple episodes of this, it was just me talking into a camera, and it didn't feel like anything watchable. I don't know. Some people could do solo podcasts. I can't. I'm not Bill Burr.
Well,
yeah. But dude, this was awesome. I hope to see you soon, man. Like sooner than later. We're getting there, and
We're getting
Yep.
there. Let's do it. And if you hear about some outdoor mic or something like that where it's socially distanced and safe, I would love to go meet you there and hang out and drink a coffee and tell jokes.
I'll text you a couple, man. Yeah,
That'd be
dude,
great.
this is awesome. Have a good one.
Do
Peace.
the same, brother.
Have a good one.
Do
Peace.
the same, brother.
Where the hell is? All right.
Rate and subscribe.